This time we're going to talk about continuously compounded. So we're going to use the formula A is equal to PERT, P, E to the RT. A couple things to remember. Remember, E is just a number in our calculator, and we can access it by doing the second ln, and that'll put the E in there for us. Remember, it's kind of like pi. It's equal to the number 2.71828. And also remember the R and the T are both part of the exponent there. So looking at this one again, how many years would it take for an account that earns 5% interest to earn $600 if it starts with $2,500? Write down my variables. So the amount in my account that I want, that's going to be all of it together. So I want the $2,500 plus that $600 worth of interest. So my A in this one is actually 3,100 because the A is always the interest plus that principal. And that principal, that's our P, that's the 2,500. E is just E. Remember, it's not a variable. It's actually a number like pi. Our interest rate, 5%, so 0.05 in our formula. And then again, T is what we're trying to find. So now using our continuously compounded, we have the 3,100 is equal to 2,500. E, my interest rate of 0.05. And then T for my time right there. So now as you can see, this one is actually going to be very, very similar to our rate problems that we did. You can see that the 2,500 is attached to the E by multiplication, just like it was when we did the problems where we solved for R for the rate. So there's that multiplication that's going on right there in between. And so I want to get rid of that 2,500 first. So my first step, step one, is going to be to divide by 2,500. So if you're a person who likes steps and likes to write their steps down, in your notes, you can write step one, you're going to divide by P. And notice that's the same step as step one for when we solve for R, the rate. So when I do that, I actually get 1.24 when I do my division there. So 1.24 is equal to, now the 2,500s are gone, and I still have an E and the 0.05T. And again, this is going to be very, very similar to our problem that we did when we solved for our rate. Notice the E is there and the T's up in the exponent. So I got to break that E away somehow. And we learned that the inverse of E, or the inverse operation for E, is the natural logarithm ln. So if I write a logarithm on that side, it can cancel that E out. But anything I do to one side, I always have to do to the other. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ln, or natural log, that side as well. Now on the side with the T, that's nice. That cancels the ln and the E out, just leaving me 0.05 times T. And now on the calculator, I can calculate that ln. And the ln button's the same as we use when we use when we get the E, or when we have to find E. We just don't use the second button. So it's right next to the 4 on the calculator. So I hit the ln button, then 1.24. Spits out a decimal for me. And like we did yesterday, I'm going to use 2 decimal places. So 0.21511, and then there's a 1 after that. So I can just leave that 101. And then my last step there, I see that the 0.05 is attached to T by multiplication. So I'm going to go ahead then and I'm going to divide by 0.05. And I'm trying to get my color to change here, and it's not wanting to change to blue. So divide 0.05. Divide 0.05. I do that on my calculator. And remember, you might be a couple cents off or so if you're using the whole decimal place, if you're not rounding, or if you round a little bit different, you might be a little bit different of an answer than me. But what I got is I got 4.3, and remember this is time, so that's going to be years. So on the last video we watched, when we did simple interest, it was going to take us 4.8 years. Now when we're doing continuous, it's only 4.3 years. So a few less months here on this one. So going back to our steps, let's look at them one more time. Step 1, we're going to divide by P. Step 2, we're going to ln both sides. And step 3, we're going to divide by our rate. So really they're the same steps as when we do the R equations for continuous. They're just a few different numbers that we're dividing by there. Like we're going to divide by r instead of dividing by t on that last step. But all of the steps are the same here. Divide, ln, divide again. Same as when we do our rate equations.